And welcome to the start of a new project here, or perhaps the continuation of an old project. You can see a long time ago I started painting some old Concours cars in the Northern Pacific pine tree scheme, and I got a fairly good start on them, and I just never got back to them. And now I'm trying to make a nice set. I've got some undecorated F3s that I'm going to use. These are Kato, or Kato, however you want to pronounce it. F3s, Kato, whatever. Tomato. I got some decals from Microscale for the pine tree set. I don't know if you can see those very clearly, but I also have the Lowe scheme on here. I'll probably do those later, but for now I'm working on the pine tree scheme. I've removed all the glass from the shells and saving all the parts in there. Here's here's the engine chassis here. Got an instruction sheet here for the decals. It's a little hard to follow in some of these cases because you try to look close at these and it's just kind of a big blob. Well, how do you figure out what's going on here? So, but we'll get it figured out. I got some photos I'm going to use for reference. And so that's where we are. Had a little problem trying to see if I had the right colors. The Microscale decal sheet recommended GN green, the Badger AccuFlex brand here, the GN green for the dark green, and I've got Northern Pacific light green for the lighter patch on here. And after looking at lots of photos and so forth, this color almost seems a little light sometimes, and somehow the light green seems a little too light. But in the interest of trying to make all the colors match, I think I'm going to stay with that and paint the shells here for the engines using the same colors. Also got some black here for the rooftops and so forth. So I'm going to continue with this project. Kind of fun thing to have here because I started this so long ago, and I'd like to finish it. It looks like an interesting color scheme. I like the kind of the older look here, and we'll be getting on to painting these, finish up the, you can see I've already got paint on some of these car bodies here, and we'll be doing some decals. I'm thinking too I might like to possibly add some little handrails in here, because when I took the paint off here I kind of ended up losing some of the detail as well. So I might think about trying to put some little grab irons on here or something to kind of dress these up a little bit. So here we go, little paint shop project, taking a break from the Union Station project, all the arches going on here. So we'll get back to that in a bit. I just want to take a break and work on something else for a little bit. So follow along here, we'll see how it turns out. Alright, I just washed these shells with a bit of dishwashing detergent and some warm water just to get all the oil and so forth off of them. And I used my airbrush, just blowing air on them to get them to dry off a little bit. There's no paint, just blow the air from the airbrush on there to get them to dry out a little bit. So we're ready to paint these. Most of the shell is going to be the dark green and black on the top, so that's what I'm going to start with. I'm just going to paint the whole shells that GN green, the dark green color, and then I'm going to come back later and I'll mask the bodies and paint the black on the roof and finish it with the lighter green stripe down the middle. Now, one thing I've noticed on this shell is an F3 shell. I don't know if you can see it here, but the number boards, those slots, you can see right through there, those number boards, there's no glazing, there's no anything to cover those slots. The lens for the headlights just covers the headlights, and then there's another piece for the windscreen, the windows. But the number boards, those slots, were left just kind of gaping and wide open. Now I thought about maybe trying to make something where the light could shine through there and illuminate those number boards, but after looking at some photos, I've noticed that they are white letters on a black background, and I don't know how in the world I would ever be able to illuminate something like that. I'd have to make the white letters almost transparent or translucent. So if it was the other way around, if it was black letters on a white background, then I might consider making just almost like a little paper insert in there and put the decals on there. But being it's white on black, that might be tough to figure out a good way to illuminate that. So I might end up just kind of sealing those. It's kind of a shame to do that, but might have to sacrifice those openings there, since I don't have any glazing or anything for them to cover them up. So I may end up having to just seal those and go with just the plain unilluminated light boards or number boards there. Okay, well, I got the first phase of painting done here on the shells. I had to stop and clean my darn airbrush about 3 times in the process here, and I've got a bit of a drip on the front there. I'm frustrated about that. See if I can figure that out. My airbrush wasn't working so well, and all of a sudden it blasted out too much paint on me and ended up with a drip on here, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. I might just have to strip it and start again here, but otherwise it turned out pretty well. See here on the other side there, so just the base coat of the dark green, the Great Northern Green. So doing okay here to start with, I think. But I'm gonna have to try to fix that darn drip in the front. I'm not sure. Like I say, my airbrush was misbehaving on me and the darn thing spit out a little too much paint in one spot. Okay, well, a little setback here. As you see, I decided to strip this and try again. So hope I got it clean enough to try another coat of paint. There might be a little bit of residue left in this grill area here. I'm a little concerned about that. It's might lose a little detail there. A little hard to get all the paint out of there. So gonna try it again and hope this time darn airbrush works. I spent some time cleaning the airbrush. I soaked the tip of the airbrush and the front end of the airbrush in some cleaning fluid. So this whole front end of the airbrush was soaking in some cleaning fluid, some paint remover, actually paint stripper, to get all that crud out of there. So hope darn thing will work for me, and we'll try this again. Alright, I think it came out a little better this time. It's a little flat here and there because I think I just barely had enough paint to redo this and paint it. But at least I don't have the big drip on the nose that I did the first time. So I'm gonna go with that. It's a little flat here and there. It's supposed to be glossy, but I think I can put some gloss coat on there later, kind of improve the finish a little bit. I think I'm gonna settle for that for now. It's not quite dry yet, and leave it be. I don't want to make another botch on this and have to try stripping this again. It was a little scary trying to strip it because the paint wasn't coming off very well. It took a long time to strip it and clean it and get it ready to repaint. So I think we're okay, and I'm gonna let this dry and we'll continue a bit later. In other parts of the project here, I've been using the paint stripper to clean some of these cars. They started out looking like this, and able to strip them. They came out nice and clean. These nice clean parts here. Now I can repaint. Car bodies came out nice. Get those cleaned up. And one of them's kind of weird. Was kind of this brown color underneath all that. So I don't think that's paint. I think it's the actual car body color. But anyway, so it came out a different color. So I got a few cars stripped and ready to paint. And I hope in a little while they'll look like these cars. Okay, we're moving on to the next phase of painting. I'm going to paint the black roof on these shells here. Got to paint the roof here black. Now, trying to approximate this curve on the roof. You can see that there. And what I've done, I'm working on a sheet of glass here. You can see that shiny glass. And I've taken a piece of tape and I folded it like so and made a cut here. It's a little hard to see it, but I made a cut there, hoping I can sort of approximate that curve on the roof line here. So let's see how this works here. I've got my tape that I'm hoping I can get it straight and sort of approximate that curve on the roof there. So I'll see how this works here. Okay, looking at the directions here of the diagrams, look like that line, that curved line, comes almost right even with the portal here. So I'm kind of using the portal as my guide, and I've got, looks pretty close. I'm going to be using a yellow decal stripe on the top of this to separate the colors. So I'm thinking if I'm off a little bit, maybe I can correct that a little bit with the decal stripe that's yet to come here. So that's my mask for the rooftop here, and I got to put some more tape around the rest of the car, the shell here. Okay, there we go. We got the roof masked off for the forward locomotive, the A unit. And I got just a little bit of tape to cover the back there, just above the roof, or below the roof. And we're ready to go here to paint black on the roof on the A unit and the B unit. Okay, we'll see how this goes. I hope my airbrush behaves this time too. Okay, well, it turned out not too bad. A little sloppy on that roof line there a little bit, but again, there's going to be a decal, color separation decal there that'll help clean that up a little bit. But it turned out very well. Turned out the airbrush behaved nicely this time. I think it also helped to have a fresh new bottle of paint too. That made a difference. So we got the black roof done. Let that dry, and then we'll start working on the light green area that goes down the middle of the body there. There we go. There's a look at the B unit. So, turned out pretty well. I can see this row and get in the light. There we go. Get better light on it. Focus. There we go. Okay, I've tried to kind of clean up that little color line, little curve separation line. There were a little brush paint. It isn't still not quite right, but it's going to get the glare off of there. But trying to get that to look a little better. I'm trying to focus on that. Here we go. And used a little bit of brush work to paint that. You see, I kind of tried to put the one end of it along the rivet line there so it didn't look too bad, and then the curved lines up where the horns will be, the two holes there you can see for the horns. So trying to clean up that little curved roof line there a little bit. It's still a little bit rough, but I think once I get the decals on there that kind of help separate the colors, it should look okay. Trying to clean it up a little bit more with that. Okay, we're looking at the next phase of painting here. We're going to work on this lighter green area that runs along the middle of the body here, And you can see that curved yellow line. This will be a yellow line to be going, it goes right around the forward portal. And I've cut a little piece of the decal to kind of see where it is. You can see this real fine yellow line here. And in front of that goes right around the forward portal. And I'm using this to try to figure out where I need to mask. And it looks like the line's going to come right about even with the bottom of the grill here on the top and just under the grill on the bottom. So I got to try to figure out a mask here, and I'm going to try to cut to, again, try to approximate this curve as best I can to mask that forward forward curve there on the body. I do it on both sides, of course. The B unit won't be so tough because there's no curve there. It's straight lines on there. But the A unit, it's going to be a little tricky, so I'll have to see what I can do here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to mask this and get ready for painting for that last major part of painting here, the light green stripe down the side here. Okay, I'm trying very carefully to make a mask here for this green stripe, and I'm working on a sheet of glass and just trying very carefully to cut an approximation of that curve I need to make. This one will go on the left side of the locomotive, but it's real hard to just kind of guess at this curve here, and trying to approximate that and take a little bit of time to try to cut this out. It's not going to be real smooth, but I'm trying to make it nice and clean as I can. I'll probably have to do a little touch up with it, like I did with the roof line on the other unit here, but trying real carefully to make just a little, try to approximate that curve around the portal. The other side here I've got, you can see the front isn't covered yet, but I'll put that other piece right there. The tape line goes right along the rivet line along the top. I might have to adjust this one a little bit, it's a little crooked, but and just under the grill line on the bottom. So I'm trying to approximate this curve in the line here. I might have to burnish that tape down a little better to get it on there, but it's going to take a little brushing up, I think, to get it working just right. Alrighty, I've got a couple of popsicles here, it looks like. Anyway, this is the B unit, getting ready to paint the green stripe, the light green stripe down the body. It's got a wrap around the end of the car body just a little bit, so I've got a little bit of the end of the car exposed there, so the line will kind of wrap around each end. Try to burnish down this tape a little bit. This is good tape for working with, but it doesn't really stick real tight, so I got real careful that I burnish it down one more time before I paint. And when I do the painting, I always try to put on just a real light coat to begin with, because I think too heavy a coat would bleed underneath underneath where the detail parts are pretty easy. So the trick is to try to apply the paint lightly to make sure it doesn't bleed in there. And the A unit, you can see I got that little bit of a curve. That little curve at the front wraps right around the portal, the front portal. The same thing with the ends here. I've got a little, the green stripe will sort of wrap around the ends there. And on the other side, I think this is going to take a little touching up to make this look good when it's done, but we'll start with that and do whatever touch up I need to do. So keep your fingers crossed, we'll see how this turns out. Yeah, well, I got the green stripe on there. It's a little sloppy along the bottom here. I'm going to try to clean it up a little bit, or maybe the decal stripe will help cover some of the rough spots there. Of course, a lot of it's the tape I'm using. The blue tape's not the greatest for doing precision jobs like this. If I needed a really sharp, crisp line, I'd probably use Scotch tape or something like that. The painter's tape doesn't quite stick down tight along the edges the way I'd like to, and as a result, it's paint got under it just a little bit, even though I tried to put on the paint really light so it wouldn't go under there, but it still looks like it seeped under just a touch, so I'll have to try to fix it up a little bit. But turned out okay, I think. And the forward unit turned out okay. The curve around the portal, the forward portal, is a little rough, so I'm going to have to try to do a little touch up on that. But it came close. I'm going to have to, like I say, do a little touch up around that curve there. That tape wasn't the greatest thing to use, but we'll fix it up. We'll get it looking good here. Well, I was hoping to finish this video with applying a couple of decals on here. Unfortunately, however, Microscale is notorious for having decals that break up in the water. It's very frustrating. I tried to apply one of these pine tree stripes to the front of the engine here, and the darn thing just broke up into a million pieces in the water. So I was hoping I had a good set here, but apparently not. Very frustrating thing with Microscale decals. They look great, but boy oh boy, they sure have a tendency to disintegrate in the water sometimes, and it makes them darn near impossible to put them on the models. So I'm going to have to order another set of decals. Maybe I'll have to apply some clear coat to them to keep them from breaking up so darn much. I'll keep these as spares if I can, and we'll continue this project another time. But we got as far as painting anyway, and hoping to move on to getting decals on here in the next video. So gonna tie it up here for now. So thanks for coming, thanks for watching, thanks for staying, and good luck to all your projects and things, and watch out for those Microscale decals. We'll do it again later, maybe in part 2 here, I guess. Okay, take care folks, thanks for coming, bye bye.